first major hurricane of the year rips into the coast of the Carolinas, packing winds of more than 100 miles an hour. Sweeping everything before it, the big blow named Connie makes matchwood of beach homes and drives thousands to the interior for shelter. Cars are almost submerged in the rising tides as the twister levels everything in its path. Crop damage may run into the millions. Capricious Connie suddenly veers north and west, heading into the metropolitan areas of big seaboard cities. New York is sideswiped with gales reaching 60 miles an hour, accompanied by a downpour that submerges residential areas with 9 inches in little more than 24 hours. Suburban areas are virtually paralyzed by flooding storm sewers and high tides. As the downpour continues, thousands of homes are flooded and left without power. And as the raging waters race through the streets, they leave the inevitable quagmire of mud. In her reign of terror, Connie carves her tragic niche with a total of 43 dead and damage estimated at 15 millions. In Germany, the third worst disaster in United States Air Force history. Twisted, flattened, flame-charred wreckage is all that remains of 2 flying boxcar transports that crashed in midair and plummeted to earth in flames, carrying 66 aboard to their deaths. The accident occurred during an airborne troop exercise. One plane dropped out of formation with slight engine trouble and, climbing back to position, rammed another. No one escaped. The grim culmination of an instant's miscalculation in midair, flaming death for 66 servicemen. A day of tragedy for American forces in Germany. Week-long demonstrations in South Korea against communist Czech and Polish truce inspectors reach a peak of violence at Incheon, with United States troops holding a firm line against the mob. The demonstrations, in which thousands have taken part, are in support of Syngman Rhee's ultimatum, demanding that the East European Armistice Commission members leave the country. A minimum of violence was used in repelling the mob attacks, but an estimated 44 Americans and over 100 demonstrators were injured. On the 8th day, President Rhee yielded to America's firm support of the armistice agreement, whose terms guarantee the truce inspectors' safety. Korean anger against the Reds continues, but the threat of violence has receded after the attempted use of mob rule to coerce American policy resulted in the use of tear gas by American troops against the people of an ally. This is Homecoming, the end of a saga of imprisonment and torture for 11 American flyers who endured the barbarity of a ruthless enemy for 30 long months. But at Travis Air Force Base, brainwashing is momentarily forgotten as Colonel Arnold is embraced by relatives. There's a tragic homecoming for one member of the group, Daniel Schmidt, whose wife remarried during his imprisonment. Happier is the lot of Major Balmer, still on crutches, surrounded by friends and relatives. Safe at last, but Americans will long remember their inhuman treatment. Flags are flying, the kids are marching. Dinah Shore is smiling on Derby Day in Akron, Ohio. This is the day of the Soapbox Derby, dedicated to the youth of America. Winners of local contests, they come from many states, from Canada and even Germany, to race their homemade speedsters down the 975-foot incline at Derby Downs. First prize is a $5,000 college scholarship, as if they could forget. Ready for the first heat. Gravity provides the power, but youthful skill and enthusiasm does the rest, as heat after heat gets away before the crowds jamming the grandstands. Derby Downs is used only this one day a year, but what a day. One by one, the heats are run. Victory for some and another heat, while for most the disappointment of defeat. But all is forgotten as the final heat is run, and there's the winner on the left, a 6-foot, 14-year-old Richard Rohrer of Rochester, New York. Dick will use his scholarship to study medicine. He'll remember Derby Day. Soldiers Field, Chicago, where 75,000 sports fans are in for their thrills worth of football. Pros versus college all-stars, the 22nd in this series of Midsummer Gridiron Classics. Pros on the move. From the 1, Radaman of the Cleveland Browns scores to put his team out front. Aerial warfare is waged, Radaman doing the passing, with Lavelli on the receiving end, as the Browns, world champs, again gather momentum. Skirting the all-star flank, Renfro goes 18 yards. That's all it takes for another Brown tally. Trailing by 4, the collegians get going. Guglielmi tosses to Dupre for a gain of 20 yards. Ralph Guglielmi, Notre Dame passing ace, connects again, this time to Magel of Rice. Keep passing, it works. Guglielmi to Hare in the end zone, and the all-stars are ahead. But not for long. Passing is a Brown fancy, too. Radaman heaves to Renfro for a gain of 42 big yards. Radaman to Renfro, the right combination for the cash and carry Gritters. Radaman to Renfro for the TD, and the Browns are out front at halftime. Late in the game, break for the All-Stars. Bettis intercepts, and the college boys are off and running. Off to victory for the first time in 5 years against the pros. Who's passing? Guglielmi of Notre Dame, spotting his man with bullseye precision right in the shadow of the goal line. Mel Triplett bangs across, and the All-Stars win it 30-27.